Hello everybody, welcome back to Gotta Get Running. I hope you guys are all surviving the hot summer heat we've had here in Washington, D.C. It's just been pretty much a forgettable summer for me with all the hot weather we've had. It's difficult to train, but hopefully you're still out there getting your summer runs and your daily runs, getting ready for the fall marathon season. One of the things that's very important about the fall marathon season is having the proper number of races leading up to that marathon. And there's no more important race than having like a good long distance race just several weeks before going out for these marathons. And the new one on the calendar here in Washington, D.C. is going to be the Woodrow Wilson Bridge half marathon, which is a new race in the area, which I'm really, really excited about. You can run over the Wilson Bridge. It's going to be really exciting. And we will have a special guest with you here shortly. But in the meantime, let me introduce you to Chris Farley. Chris, it's good to see you again. Welcome back to the show.
Great to be here. Here we are again. I made it through, I think this is our fourth show now. I'm really excited to be here. You said it's been a forgettable summer, but we're going to talk about a hopefully a very memorable race here coming up here in September. I'm getting better at these transitions. Look at me, man.
Absolutely, man. I mean, the weather's been forgettable. The race is
going to be very memorable.
I'm ready for a good race. This is going to be really exciting. We've invited Steve Nearman onto the show tonight. So, Steve, you're in charge of putting this whole Woodrow Wilson Bridge half marathon together. So, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it very much.
Steve is the founder of Endurance Enterprises. He's been covering running for 28 years, and so he's been in the D.C. area for a long time, knows a lot about running, but I believe this is your first race you're putting on, right?
Basically.
Yeah,
I put on a track meet when I was a kid.
Don't hold that against
of this magnitude, obviously.
I'm in the big leagues now, yes.
Yeah, no doubt.
Absolutely.
So he's done a lot of work for, I knew Steve for a number of years when we opened Pacers in 2003. I best knew him for his work with the running, with the Washington Times. He wrote a column there, a weekly column, I believe. Mm-hmm. So he was really familiar with running in this area and did a lot of work for the Washington Post. He's done stuff for Running Wire USA. So very connected in with the running scene here, especially in the DC area. But how did this whole thing come about? Why don't we start there and talk a little bit about how you came up with the idea, and now here we are, less than a month out. How's it gone? How long has it taken? And when did this idea come about?
Wow, how long is this show?
Yeah, seriously.
The basis of the race came from the fact that I've been covering the sport in the area for 28 years, and when you write a column and somebody reads it and they put it away, they throw it out, you're done. I mean, your impact is over with that. And I really wanted to leave something behind for the runners in the area that I've covered and who've been loyal to me. And the whole idea of putting on my own race was about leaving the Washington, D.C. area with something that hopefully long after I'm gone off this earth, somebody runs in the 50th running and thinks, wow, somebody came up with this idea. That's really cool. And this race hopefully will keep going on and perpetuating. So that was the basis. There were two other areas. I wanted to make some economic impact to the area, and being a businessman too, that was important to me. And the third was to make a charity impact, which was very important too. Mm-hmm. So with those three things, the opportunity came with the new bridge. And when did they build the bridge? The bridge was completed in 2008, but in 2007, I was on the board of the Alexandria Chamber of Commerce, and the National Harbor people, the Peterson companies, invited us to come over and look at the groundbreaking, the buildings that were coming up. And we took a ferry across, and while we were going under the bridge and they were working on it, I was hammering and stuff, and I was looking up there and I'm going, wow, it would be awesome to have a race run over this bridge. Because runners love bridges. All the great races, except for maybe the Boston Marathon,
it's
over bridges.
It's true.
And I wanted to take a shot at that. So that next morning, I found the person at National Harbor to talk to about the race, and they were like, yes, bring a race here. We would love it. And when I talked about destination half marathon, their eyes got real big. And unfortunately, we couldn't close the lanes of the bridge for a lot of different issues. And somebody told me at that point, it's okay, they're going to have a bike path at some point. You could run your race over the bike path. And I thought, nah, I don't want to run over the bike path. I want to close lanes on a bridge.
Right.
Because that's what cool race directors do. They close bridges. So we tabled it for a couple of years, and then the bridge opened, the bike path opened in June of 2009. And one October morning, I invited one of my running partners, Dave Watt. He's with the American Running Association. I invited him to Old Town to run from my office over the bridge, the bike path. And we got up on that path, and I looked at him and said, "Oh, this is so awesome! You're right there with the cars. We've got to do this race." And he looked at me and he said, "Oh, this is a grand slam."
Right. And absolutely, it has been. Pacers is working with the race, so I know there's about 3,500 runners registered now as of we're at August 28th. How many runners do you hope to have? And did you envision this first year event to be as big as it is?
That's a great question. We are going to close out at 4,000 runners, so I want to put 4,000 on the line. And I did work with Pacers on what would a decent first-year race expectation. And your Parkway race runs 7,000 runners. I thought, well, that's an awful lot of runners for a first year to do a great job. So I wanted to be conservative. I wanted those 4,000 runners this year to come back with their friends next year and really make a splash. Instead of doing a mediocre job with 7,000, do a stellar job with an entire 4,000. It was a dream. It was a vision. 4,000 is a big number, but I was committed to do whatever it took. And one of the things I started doing was I Googled running clubs, and I started taking down all the email addresses from all the boards on running clubs all over the nation, newspapers everywhere, and I just, day and night was just promoting. And I figured, 28 years in the business, I've got to have connections. If I can't get this done, nobody can promote a race. I just worked tirelessly to build it. So I'm sitting here now, I'm not surprised we're going to close out at 4,000 because I believed in it from the beginning. But it is like when you pinch yourself and say, wow, that's amazing that many people are supporting a first-year event.
So then with 4,000 people, that's not going to be a huge number, so you can sort of provide everybody with sort of a VIP experience. What are some of the amenities you have available for the runners on the course and afterwards?
Yeah, great. Lots of amenities. I've always said that the challenge for a first-year race of this magnitude is to do what all of the big-time races who have been around for 30, 40, 100 years do. Because, runners are highly educated, they're highly successful, they're huge spenders, but they have huge expectations. So the bar is set really high for us. So if you want to be world class, you've got to have amenities. We have 8 water stops. We have Powerade on the course. We have Excel Gel on the course. We have finisher medals, not cheap little ones, but really nice, hardy with ribbon.
Yeah, I've seen the mock-ups for these, Steve. They are nice, and I know there's a lot of runners out there who love to get nice finisher medals, and this one is going to be a must-have for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's unique. It looks great. We have technical T-shirts for our runners. We don't have a lot of sponsor names on the back purposefully because I don't want to have the yellow pages on the back of your jersey.
You want to clutter it up, right?
Yeah, you're running and there's somebody in front of you and you can, pick the Jiffy Lube next door and this place and that place. I didn't want that, so we're only going to have a couple of logos on the T-shirt, so it's a very clean-looking T-shirt. So, we have a huge finish festival. A great race is not a great race without a beer truck. Yeah, not only a beer truck, and it's ultra. By the way, with Club Ultra, they'll plug into Bob Hall Distributing Company since they've been so nice to us.
That's right.
But there's a beer garden in the finish area. Nice. I have a massage therapist and chiropractors that will be working on people doing ART. I have an acupuncturist who will be needling people in the finish area. I have Burke and Herbert, which is our title sponsor, will have a money machine that you can stand inside and grab at bills. So bring your stickum, so you have a lot of stick stuff on your fingers. So it's going to be really fun. We have a band, a live band, because you can't have a party without a band.
That's right.
We have a killer show with a Chihuahua, a diva Chihuahua, who's going to be doing 12 tricks, including a vintage knockoff Michael Jackson moonwalk.
Nice.
This dog is phenomenal. So the dog will be doing some...
Dog running?
The dog's not running, but the dog's owner said the dog will be signing autographs. So, so you have to be there to see it. But those are some of the fun things that we've been trying to make this a event. It's not just a race, it's an entire event.
It sounds like an amazing finish festival and 8 water stops along the course. Talk more a little bit about the logistics, because it is a point-to-point race, probably different than a lot of races that our viewers will run. So talk about how you get from point A to point B, because you don't start and stop in the same spot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the answer is the best way to get from point A to point B is to hire Pacers Events Management. They're doing all that logistics work,
Right.
which is why I'm not worried. I'm great for other reasons. It is not from this race, trust me.
So you tell us, Chris.
Right. Well, you know what? He's been more intimately involved, and so he could better talk to speak to
The
that.
logistical challenge will be getting a lot of people into a parking area early in the morning in a very short amount of time. We have basically about an hour and a half when people will file in to get them on buses. We're loading people up from National Harbor, the parking lots at National Harbor, and we're taking them by bus to Mount Vernon to the start line, and then it's their job to run back to Mount Vernon.
Right.
Or excuse me, to National
National
Harbor.
Harbor, right.
So logistically, we've got 55 buses. They're just loading people, and there are people coming in. They're going to be in a hurry. You get a little antsy when you're getting to a race.
Right.
You want to do well. You want to remember that you had your number and all this.
Right.
So we have a tremendous orchestration of 75 people will be in those parking lots, actually making sure that those cars get quickly to a spot, and the runners get picked up right there on a bus and shuttled to the starting line with the least amount of hassle.
Yeah.
That is the biggest logistic that we have going.
Right. Well, talk a little bit about, you've lived in Alexandria for a while, right? Or you've worked in Alexandria for a while. Talk a little about the unique scenery. Obviously, running across the bridge is like nothing else. There's no race that's doing that. But talk a little about the unique scenery along the Parkway too.
Absolutely. I've lived in the DC area since '82.
Yeah, right.
In Old Town since 1990.
Okay.
And moved my business down there, and have been very active in this community. With the Chamber of Commerce and with nonprofits and with the running community, of course. And it's a phenomenal town. I love this city. I love its beauty. I love its history, the people. This course is so scenic that at some point I hope Runner's World will call it one of the most scenic routes in the country, because you have the beautiful parkway. You're going through a national park called the George Washington Memorial Parkway, and it's a beautiful road, and you can see Fort Washington at a certain point, and you come up into Old Town, so you have the historic Mount Vernon, you have history in Old Town, and then you take this bridge that bridges you into the new National Harbor, which is about as new and modern as you get, with the Gaylord looming up, 28 floors of glassed in, beautiful, and the Westin Hotel there, and awesome restaurants for people to enjoy. So, I think the people who come here are going to find that, again, it's not just a race, that it's a total experience. They're not only going to experience a great race, but they're going to enjoy great food, great place to stay overnight. Great scenery, and from the bridge you can see the monuments in DC. From the top of the bridge you can see Old Town behind you, and you can see National Harbor in front of you. So you're going to have amazing scenery from the beach, from the bridge. When you get up on National Harbor and it cruises up over the top, you'll be able to see the Potomac River and the bridge right there. And then at the finish line, of course, you're going to be in front of the very famous Awakening statue, which many people will remember was at East Potomac Park on Haynes Point. Was moved when the Peterson Company built up National Harbor, and that's sitting at my finish line.
And that's important to the local runners around here, because running through Haynes Point is something that all the runners around here do, and they'll be happy to see their little statue like where that's now been transplanted to.
And they're going to be happy that there are going to be happy moments in front of the Awakening statue now, as opposed to laboring around. Remember how windy Haynes Point is? Those races.
6 more.
Whether it's the Marine Corps Marathon or all the races that it was usually not such a fun place to run around, but now they get to actually enjoy the finish right there and have their picture taken in front of the Awakening statue.
And there's just so much to do at National Harbor. I mean, as you said, there's some hotels there where people are going to be able to stay, so that will hopefully help with parking a little bit. So those hotels will be where the out-of-town runners are going to be staying. Do you have any idea so far how many runners you're going to be having that are logging in from out-of-town locations?
Well, I don't know the number of runners from out of town, but I do know that we booked over 100 rooms in National Harbor, which is, quite a bit of runners.
Significant, yeah.